Zangief in the corner is all about pressure, okay? Zangief has a benefit to just being on the screen that a lot of other characters don't have. And what that means is oftentimes when you're on the screen, people will walk backwards on you. In 6 that I didn't really notice very much in 5 or other versions of the game, a lot of opponents that I come across at the very start of the round, the first thing they do is walk backwards. I don't know why that is, but my overall reasoning is that Zangief has full screen pressure. He puts people in a position where they don't want to get close, but they don't want to be too far away. They want their normals to hit, but they don't want yours to hit, and they just can't have it all. They want it all, but they can't have it all. They want to be at a distance where they can chip you out, but not put themselves at risk of getting good old SPD, right? What happens is they will hold back until they get to the corner, and then what you'll see them do almost every time is they'll panic once they're in the corner. But the panic comes about in a manner that forces them to use risky moves to try to escape the corner. When you're in this position, the first plan of action that you want to take is to control the space in front of Zangief and around Zangief, okay? Put them in a position to where they want to walk forward and jump out, and then use Zangief's normals, preferably the cancelable ones, so that's stand light of any kind, crouching light kick, stand medium punch if you're early, and headbutt. Those are like some of the main ones. Crouching medium is good, hell stab is good as well. But you want to remember that everybody thinks the best way to get over Zangief or away from Zangief or out of the corner is to get over Zangief, okay? So everybody wants to put Zangief in a position where they can do their damage, but as soon as they're in the corner, they think the best way to get away from him is to jump over his head. Sometimes they'll walk up and try to throw you. Sometimes they'll just chuck fireballs and beg you to get in even when you have the life lead, which is crazy, and we can talk about that later. But everything you want to do is maximize the damage that you can get from this position. And usually you guys will hear me talk about the position of power. And the position of power, in my opinion, for Zangief is right just behind or underneath the timer and a little bit behind it, right here. Okay, so not right here, because if Ryu inches forward just a little bit, okay, he's gonna be able to jump over my head. So I'm gonna put myself in that area right here. Okay, you'll see that happen. All right, but if I put myself back a little bit right here, I can hold. Remember, lariat moves. Okay, so like if I'm using lariat, I can lariat backwards and I can lariat forwards. You want to put yourself in a position to where you have to either lariat forwards or lariat just only slightly backwards. Remember, the hurt box sticks just above Zangief's head at his shoulder. His shoulder is still lariat city, okay? That's still where you want people. So I've got Ryu in the corner. How am I going to keep him there? I'm going to stand just behind the timer. So that's this, if you can see the mouse, that's this area right here, right in between these two marks. So your health bar and the timer, that's kind of where you want Zangief's head. Okay. This is the most powerful position in my opinion for Zangief. So stand fierce hits here. Stand forward will stop him from walking forward. So in that position Ryu was in, if I just have him walk forward, I can kind of keep him there. So from this area right here, I can kind of still hit him with stand medium punch. Stand roundhouse will still connect here if you decide you want to use it, right? That'll stuff his jump. And lariat. So I can hold back and then press forward there. Right? He's not going anywhere. Even if I kind of miss lariat a little bit, I can still make it so where he lands on top of my head. Okay, if I'm in this position right here, I can still sort of back up. You know, he wants to jump. You just walk backwards with him as he walks forward into you, and then you lariat. Okay, jump heavy, whether it be punch or kick, are really good tools to keep him in the corner as well. The theory part is this is our position of power. They are always going to walk forward to try to jump out, if they are going to jump out, or they'll try to drive rush in at you from this distance. And all you want to do is just poke with cancelable normals. Normals that will keep you in a position to where you can respond to drive impact and aren't too committal. But as he walks forward here, if I check him with stand light kick, right? I get something like this, okay? So he's in a bad series of events if he decides to walk forward while I'm right here, okay? Rule number one, when Geef has somebody in the corner, they always want out. And the weirdest thing is, people cling to the corner as though it's safety when they're walking back, but then run from the corner when they know you're about to splat them. So a lot of times what they'll do when you stand here is they're waiting for drive impact, especially players anywhere from around the 1100 mark all the way up to about 1500. They are looking for a drive impact right here. They've been conditioned. They've lost so many matches to drive impact in the corner, right? And their main way to respond to it is to do one of their own, okay? So as I'm here, I'm looking for attempts to walk forward and jump. I'm looking for attempts to drive rush at me. And I'm just looking for waiting attempts. Here's the cool thing, okay? So we talked about the normals, all right? So if they walk forward, stand light's gonna catch them, stand medium will catch them, stand heavy punch will catch them, stand jab will also catch them, and you wanna stand here because lariat will pretty much always hit here. Now, if he walks forward, that changes the distance for lariat, okay? So as he walks forward, you need to move yourself to a position where you can lariat if he jumps. Now, if he's doing that to walk himself out of the corner, you need to read that and then use things to put him right back in, okay? So as you're poking with your normals, they would be looking for things to whiff punish and or ways that they can drive impact you. And all you need to do is just look for opportunities to convert into damage, okay? If I could say you'd have a safest button to use to keep them in the corner, I would say stand light kick, stand jab. Crouching medium is good, but it does not hit down here. Like I want to hit down where my crouching light kick hits or stand light hits, okay? I want to stand here. I'm whiffing this if I have to, or I'm walking back and forward to make sure I can get a whiff punish if he goes for like a stand heavy punch. A lot of Ryu players will do this. They'll walk back and forth and then go for one of these and then drive rush behind it. So as you're looking for that, right, you want to go for like you want to try to convert off that. If I hit with stand jab into crouching jab, I'm +10, and then I can mix them up. Okay, you have options there. Stand light kick, which is like one of the best ways to, right? Or sometimes you can get away with headbutt. You do have knee hammer, and I'm not saying don't use knee hammer, but where you're standing here, this can give them the opportunity to jump over your head. So if you knee hammer into the corner, you have closed the distance, you have removed their ability to breathe, right? Because you're right next to them. However, they can now jump over your head, okay? So if I have Ryu just do this, so I knee hammer into the corner, now he's over top of my head, okay? And I can't really do much about that. Now I'm in the corner, okay? So remember, knee hammer is good and forward advancing normals are okay, but knee hammer is excellent right now, and this is probably the best it'll ever be. However, you will lose your power by having them at this place. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't move forward at times. That doesn't mean you shouldn't press the attack if they're waiting or, you know, not really certain what you're going to do. It's okay to go in. I'm not saying it's not okay to go in. However, to control the corner, which is the context to which we're talking right now, this is the position of control for Zangief for sure. Stand light will catch things, stand medium will catch things, stand jab will catch things, and you can lariat here, okay? Air SPD will also work. But just something to bear in mind, this is the main place you want to be. You can use knee hammer, you can use sweep, you know, that kind of thing, but just know, if they punish you here, they will try to side switch you. They will try to throw you into the corner. They're going to try to mix you up as best they can too, because they don't want to be here, okay? Even though they put themselves here, they don't want to be here. Patience is everything when you're in this spot. And there's a term that we use sometimes on stream that I refer to as the fear and greed index. And it has to do with when people are buying up because they're greedy or selling because they're afraid of a crash, okay? So they buy up when the shares are low or the coins are low, and they sell them when they're high, or they're selling off because they're afraid of a potential crash, okay? In Street Fighter 6 particularly, there is a point to which you need to realize that you have given into the fear and greed index. And what I mean by that is you have given up your patience, you're in this position, and from here you still want to press. you haven't observed your opponent yet. It could be round 1 or set 1, and you have not figured out what their response is to you putting them in this position and holding them here. And so what needs to take place is you need to focus on observing, right? Keen observation and being patient here, okay? So what will happen is you will take a gamble, and people will do a lot of times what they normally do against Zangief. So they'll be mashing, they're walking back, and they're afraid of stuff. So they're doing this. If you do not have an answer to this, you will lose to it, okay? So you're trying to keep him in the corner, and then he just starts doing this, right? And you whiff the lariat. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what to do when they're holding up in the corner. That's next, okay? So these guys will put themselves in the corner, and they're so scared of Zangief, they'll hold up or they'll try to jump out, okay? When you see them holding up like this, you have quite a few options, all right? Zangief has a lot of options against people that are going to hold up. And one of the things that I really like that Snake Eyes used to do this a lot. And although I don't think Snake Eyes is necessarily the pinnacle of Zangief gameplay right now because he just has such a unique play style, there's something that he does a lot that a lot of Zangief players don't do that I want to share with you. And I think a lot of people neglect this ability because they don't know their ranges, okay? So you need to know your range to do this. But one thing that you can do is catch people on their way down. And so it's basically a trip guard SPD on their way to the floor. Now, a lot of opponents, when they're in the corner, believe you can't grab them when they're holding up, okay? And it's unbelievable to me that when people are fighting Zangief, the first thing they do is hold up, as though we don't have tools to stop that, and as though we are not observing the fact that they are afraid of grounded SPD, okay? When you see somebody holding up on you a lot, like you'll hit them with a mix, and the first thing they do when you hit them with the mix is hold up, that should tell you something straight away, okay? So let that be a lesson to you that the first thing they are afraid of is grounded SPD. They don't want to get grabbed at all costs. They're running as fast as they can from the idea that you're going to walk forward and SPD them, okay? They hate it. These are the opponents that absolutely hate getting grabbed. So your mission is to notice that and then use your punishes accordingly, okay? We don't have a DP, so what do you do? All right? So that's things like lariat or standard lariat, whichever one you decide you want to do when they're holding up. But from the position of power that we're talking about, okay? So from the position of power, if you want to continue standing here safely, all you need to do is this. I'm going to tell you exactly what to do when they're holding up in the corner, okay? I'm going to tell you what to do. First thing is, okay? And this can be a scrub tactic, but you'll see even good players do this. I fight a specific JP player who's so afraid of grounded SPD, he does this in the corner, okay? And I'll pick JP next, and we'll look at that. But what I want you to do is just slightly inch forward, okay? Be careful, because they could just hold up and then try to drive rush at you, or hold up and then jump forward or something like that, okay? So all you have to do is, from the position of power, this is what I want you to do. I want you to inch forward, and then either stand roundhouse, okay? Stand roundhouse is a good one to catch them with. Crouch heavy punch. Or just simply walk forward and lariat, okay? So Zangief's forearm will hit them, and they're going to feel it, okay? You don't need to give up your position, right? If he walks forward, you just slightly inch back, okay? To keep yourself in the position of power. And ultimately, Zangief, it's just from this distance here that he's in power, okay? In the corner, right? From this distance here. So as long as you can maintain this distance with Ryu, you've got a very good chance of getting him back here, all right? Also, watch out for when they hold up and then try to drive impact, you know, something like this, right? So you're going to want to pay attention to that, right? They know that you want to stuff them for holding up. They're greedy. You need to be prepared for the worst of them, right? Right, you need to be prepared for everything. So remember that sometimes they're trying to mix you up. Sometimes they're trying to get you to react to them holding up. But ultimately, if they're jumping, they have committed to that jump. Okay? Another thing you can do is, when they're holding up, jump forward air SPD. Remember also, a lot of Zangief players don't do this. Okay? And it's just probably for lack of knowledge that we perish. But A lot of Geef players do not remember that we can jump up back in air SPD, and that was something unique to Street Fighter 6 that we did not have in 5, right? Normally, when you jump and you do an aerial move, it does not put you back in the same place. Okay, so what I mean by that is, for example, when Ryu does air Tatsu, he doesn't land back in the same place he started the air Tatsu, does he? Right? He lands whichever direction you're throwing it, right? But watch where Geef lands when you do jump back air SPD, okay? So, if I wait for and if I don't do it while Ryu is jumping, look where my feet land. I'm only slightly back from where I was before, okay? So Geef doesn't have to give it, literally tethers him as he jumps back and pulls him back to the position where he was. Some would say that that's a nerf, because if Geef was able to drift with that, he could move further away from you while he does it, and he could jump back. He could jump back air SPD and be safe all the time because he would just float back further away. So you couldn't punish that. So what they've probably done to put Geef in a position to where he can get punished is make it so that he lands really close to where he was if he gambles on that. That's very good for us. Okay? That's very good for Geef. And the reason is because you don't have to give up your positioning so much if you decide to commit to this move. Now, does that mean you won't get punished? No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, it is in your best interest with Zangief to play in the air, okay? Jump normal for jump normal. Geef has very active air normals, okay? So we have a God button. That's jump medium kick, okay? Jump medium kick is one of the God buttons in the game, all right? And to my knowledge, it's active as long as it's out. So as long as you see it, the button is active, okay? Jump jab. I use this a lot of times for in Bison when they do air gimmicks. So a lot of times Bison players will, including myself, they'll be in the corner. They really want out of the corner, and they'll use this to get out, correct? Right? And you're Geef, and you're like, I did lariat because I thought he was just going to do a normal jump in because I'm sucked in and I'm focused, right? And there he goes. He's whizzed over my head, and there's nothing I can do. Well, that's not true, okay? So I'm going to show you what you can do. So when Bison does that, I want you to meet him in the air with jump jab. It will reset him, and it will put him back. Now, here's the caveat to that. If Bison is above you, you will generally lose if you jump into his arm, okay? If he's above you. If you meet him, or you are above him, you will generally win. Don't ask me exactly how it works, but this is from my research. Bison usually wins with Devil's Reverse based on where the hurt box and the hitbox is. He will win if he's above you, or just above, maybe a little bit horizontal to you. So your mission with Geef, when he does that, is to jump in a manner that allows you to meet him there. Okay, see how I was below him? See that? So I was below the hand, it had already started up, I got hit by it, okay? But now I'm below him, but I'm starting my jump jab really early, okay? So just something to keep in mind. Jump heavy punch works too. You can knock him right back to the earth, okay? Jump heavy kicks, also good. Let's react to him. Let's not fake it. All right, you can get that, and sometimes you can get a nice little juggle there. Look at that. When you see Bison in the air, jump jab is one of the best ways to keep him in the corner. Who else is really good at escaping the corner? Rashid is another one you're going to want to air to air. Okay, we talked about Aki before on stream, but let's just do a quick little reminder. So what do a lot of Aki players do? You've got them in the corner, and they're down backing here, and then they do this to get out of the corner, okay? So how do you keep them there? You start the headbutt, and as she slides through you, you finish the 360 and then do EX SPD or standard. I think standard SPD will also reach here. Okay. So don't forget that when you have them in this position here, you can use level 1 as well to scare them away from jumping. But remember, jumping is kind of good when they're in the corner because it allows you to get extra damage and they have to commit to the jump.